Hi.
Hello.
Thank you. Hi. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Very snippy.
What does it feel like to be on TV?
Special.
Pretty snippy?
What he said.
Hi. Wow. Feeling real pretty. Having some self-esteem issues. Great. Well, what I want to do first is to introduce myself to you and to introduce myself to the students that are in their classrooms. Just tell you a little bit about who I am and why someone would sit on a gym floor in front of hundreds of students and do such ridiculous things. My name is Laura, and I'm a professional actress. I live in Minneapolis, Minnesota, but I was raised and I was born in Madison, Wisconsin. I went to school in Madison, and I went to college in Madison. And I married a guy from Oregon. You know where that is, don't you?
Yeah.
All right. What we're going to do is take some time for you to write down questions that you might have about what you saw in the show today. That includes you. I want you to start thinking about questions that you have about what you saw today, or if the show made you think of a question. If you have a question for me personally, that would be lovely, and we're going to take some time to answer those questions. So I'm going to talk for a little bit right now, and while I'm blah, blah, blahing at you, okay, what I want you to do is I want you to write down a question that you'd like to ask, and then someone from your classroom will run those questions that you've written down on paper down here to the library, and we're going to answer, well, probably as many of those as we have time for. Any questions? I guess not. Okay. I know some of the questions, now keep thinking and keep writing. Some of the questions that students normally have are things like, they want to know, am I married? We've covered that. Yes, I am. They want to know, do I have kids? Nope, I don't. But I have 11 brothers and sisters. I know, huge family. And I have 26 nieces and nephews. I know, it's a lot, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And a lot of them are in your age range. Some of them are younger, some of them are older. I have a niece named Susie, who's a freshman at Oshkosh. No, Green Bay. And I have a niece named Andrea, who's a sophomore at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. So there are some older and some younger than you. But actually, I have to tell you the truth. I don't have 11 brothers and sisters anymore. And one of the reasons that I do this show has to do with one of my brothers. I had a brother, and his name was Joe. And he was the neatest kid. And when he was in 5th grade, he started drinking. And when he was in 6th grade, he started smoking pot. By the time he was a freshman in high school, he was using amphetamines. Do you know what amphetamines are?
No. Sleeping pills.
They're exactly the opposite of what sleeping pills are. Amphetamines are drugs that people take to keep them awake.
Caffeine pills?
Like caffeine pills, yes. In fact, he probably took caffeine pills. He took some really serious stuff. It was called, who said that? You did. What was it called again? Speed. It's called speed. It makes him go really fast, fast, fast. So he was taking that drug, and then by the time he was in high school, he had dropped acid. And when he was 18 years old, he died in a mental institution. So that's one of the reasons that I do this. My brother was just an amazing person. I want you to know his name. His name was Joey. He was so neat. He was handsome. He was really smart. He played terrible practical jokes on people that were very, very funny. He had a twin brother. Mikey is his twin. And he was just a really neat kid. and I miss him. And about 6 months before he died, he told me that he had written a play, and would I produce it? And I said, if you have written a play, Joseph, I will produce it. Even though I didn't know what I was talking about. I thought I'd find a way. And after he had died, then when we looked for the play, we couldn't find it. And so I decided that what I wanted to do was to write a play for my brother that would honor my brother. Because I didn't want Joey to have died in vain. So I wrote this. And I've enjoyed telling Joe's story to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of students. Yes?
Someone from my homeroom wants to know, where did you get your laugh?
Get my laugh?
Yeah.
Where did I get my laugh? Let's see. Which one are you talking about?
I
You
guess
talking
that
about this one? Or are you talking about this one?
Well,
You know, where I think where a laugh comes from for all of us is a feeling of being happy with yourself. And I think that that was one of the things that my brother Joe didn't have, is he didn't have a happiness or a comfort inside himself with who he was. So that's where my laugh comes from. It comes from a genuine feeling of mirth. And when I was your age, I used to practice. There were different laughs. There was a woman named Joanne Worley. Do you remember her? And I remember she was a really, the teachers are all remembering. And she had a really good laugh. Here's how she laughed. No, I'll do Phyllis Diller's laugh. So I practiced. Just like anything else, you have to practice at it. Phyllis Diller laughs like this. Better warn you, because you have headphones on. So then I practiced these laughs, okay? So like anything else, a laugh can be practiced. Now I want you to try something with this. Try this in your homerooms too. You have to say ha 13 times in a row. This works when you're feeling really crummy about yourself. This can help you feel better. Okay, you have to say ha 13 times, and by the time you get to the 13th time, you have to be done. You cannot laugh any further. Okay? Do this with me here. Count with me in your homerooms. Ha, 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 ha. It didn't work. Try it again. Ha, 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 ha. Sometimes it doesn't work. What else? What other questions do you have? Yes.
When did you begin to act?
Someone wants to know, when did I begin to act? I began to act when I was in 8th grade. I got cast in a little play at school. And I realized that it felt really good. And this is one thing I want to recommend that you do. If you're feeling bad about who you are, it can be a really good thing to try something that you've always wanted to try. I always wanted to get up on stage and try to act. But I was really scared to. So if you've got something you want to try and you're a little bit scared, that's okay. Let me tell you what. Once you try it and you even succeed just a little, what do you think that does for you? What do you think that does for your self-esteem? Yeah. It moves it way up. So if there's something you want to try, a hobby or something, give it a shot. It's a great way to work on boosting your self-esteem. Because I know that my brother Joey's self-esteem was not very high. It was actually kind of low. When you have low self-esteem, that's when you start reaching for things that aren't so good for you. So find some things that are good for you. I tried acting. Yes?
Were you ever pressured about drugs and alcohol when you were young?
That's a great question. Was I ever pressured about drugs and alcohol when I was young? Yes, I had some friends. Now, the drinking age was 18 when I was your age, so you could drink legally at the age of 18. But there wasn't a lot of pressure to use. Why? Because it was legal. It wasn't like this big naughty thing. The pressure was to smoke pot. And I had friends who were good friends who smoked. And what I wound up having to do is I kind of had to find some new friends. And that was a lonely period of time for me. So I had to make some changes. Yes, peer pressure existed when I was your age, too. Yes.
How can you eat raw corn?
How can you eat raw corn? That's a good question. Hands down, because this is going to take a minute. Eating raw corn, first you tell me, why do you think I ate raw corn?
Yeah.
To pretend it was a drug. Why else?
To get your point across.
To get my point across. And what was the point?
Not do drugs.
How dumb and stupid and bad it looks.
How dumb and stupid and bad it looks to do drugs. And yet, I could open a can of corn and shove that down my throat. Okay? Now, what do you think that tasted like? Yeah, it tasted really horrible. It's just like with alcohol. Okay? If you're looking for an effect with alcohol, and what kind of effect do people look for when they take alcohol?
Being good.
Okay, they want to feel good, they want to get buzzed. Okay, even if they don't like the taste, okay, they might use the drug because they're looking for an effect. Well, Aunt Myrtle was looking for an effect too. Okay? So it was worth it to me to eat the corn. Now, I'm telling you, it's weird how you can adjust to the taste of something because the corn doesn't bother me anymore. Just like for people who use drugs, they might not like the taste of the alcohol, and they might not even like the smoke that goes down into their lungs if they're smoking pot, or what the crack makes them feel like afterwards. But they're so hooked on the effect. So what you have to do is find a way to get buzzed and to feel good that doesn't have anything to do with the chemicals. You got to find natural ways to do that. All right? Okay, and that's what we're talking about today. Oh gosh, there's just so many of you. Yes.
Okay, did your brother, or did you do anything like your brother?
Did I do anything like my brother? When I was 18, it was legal to drink. So I did drink when I was 18. Didn't get out of control with that. I learned a lot from my brother, and I hope you learn a lot from Joseph too. I never did cocaine. I never, he did heroin. I never did speed. I never did those drugs because I honestly saw what they did to my brother. And I want you to learn from Joe too, and I want you to remember this. When you are faced with the choice to use, I want you to stop and I want you to think of what 3 alternatives are. 3 different ways that you could try to have fun that don't involve chemicals. And then you choose. And then, and only then do you choose. Because if you reach right for the alcohol, you're a victim. You're not giving yourself a choice. I want you to think of 3 alternatives, and then I want you to make a choice. The other thing I want you to remember when you are faced with this choice is, I want you to remember my brother. His name was Joe, okay? Okay. Yes.
What is your real name?
What is my real name? My real name is Laura Clark. My married name is Laura Hansen, but I go by Laura Clark. Okay? Yes.
What should you do if some kid's beating his brother?
Hands down. What should you do if a kid is beating his brother? That's a really good question. Let me answer it, and I'm going to make sure that the counseling staff doesn't have something they would like to add. If someone is beating up on their brother, if it's what I'm thinking is that you might know the person who's doing the beating up. Okay? Then you can talk to that person and tell them that you're worried about what they're doing to their brother. I think you need to talk to your mom or your dad about how you're feeling and what's happening. Okay? This is a problem for grown-ups to handle. This is a problem for adults to deal with. Okay? Especially if this young boy, this little brother, and I'm assuming it's a little brother, is kind of in danger. You need to step in and be responsible. And the referral would be to a parent or to a teacher. Please talk to an adult who you trust about this. Any suggestion from the counseling staff on that? Is that what the recommendation would be, counseling staff?
Yes. Yeah.
I think it would also be, at home to contact a parent, or at school to contact, whether it's a teacher or some, Mr. Benson, Ms. Coons, Mr. Woolley, someone that they trust and can talk to.
Mr. Benson, Ms. Coons, Mr. Whaley, talk to someone at school and talk to someone at home. This is really important because it's not okay for that person to be hurt. So we're all in agreement. Good. Okay. Next question. Yes. Yes, please.
What do you like to do for fun?
What do I like to do for fun? You know what? This is one of the things that I do for fun. This is one of the things, but this is also work. It's important not to get too caught up in your work. I like to swim, so I swim. I have girlfriends that I used to do water aerobics with, and we call ourselves the Water Babes. And so we go out for lunch, and we hang out, and we do stuff together. And then my husband and I love to watch videos. My husband, he was the tall guy with the beard who you see wandering around with the light blue shirt, kind of cute. My husband. Okay, we work together. Yes, behind you, and then we'll take yours. Yes.
Okay, was it hard to put the program together?
Was it hard to put the program together? That's a great question, and I want to talk about that for a quick minute, so put your hands down. Was it hard to put the program together? Yes, it was the scariest thing I ever did in my entire life. I'd written 2 plays before, but I'd never written a play for students in grades 5 through 8, so I was scared. It's normal to feel scared. If you're trying something brand new, that's perfectly normal. If you weren't a little bit scared, I'd be surprised. But it was something that I really knew I wanted to try, and I thought it was really important. So what I decided, let me tell you first. When I first had, the first day I had to write this play, I went up the stairs into my office, I sat down at my computer, and I said, okay, write this play. And I was so scared. I was so scared to try this new thing that I'd never tried before that I thought, oh. And I went downstairs, and I preferred to clean out the toilet. So I scrubbed out the toilet. I cleaned my whole house. My house was spanking clean because I was too scared to start. It's normal to be scared. I want you to try it. If there's something new that you want to try, I cannot tell you, the first day that I did this program in front of 350 kids in St. Paul, I was so scared. But you know what? I had success, and there's nothing that builds self-esteem like trying something brand new and succeeding at it. So I want you to feel that too. I want you to experience what that feels like because it's amazing. Okay, let's see, there's just so many, please.
Did your parents know Joey was doing speed and all
Did my parents know Joey was doing speed and all these drugs? Yes, they did, but back when dinosaurs roamed the earth, which was when this was happening, it was about 17 years ago, adults didn't have all the resources that we have now. I mean, the people that Mrs. Pittman listed are people right here at school, professionals inside the community. My mom and dad did their best to help him, but he was out of control. And eventually what we wound up having to do with Joey for his own protection was to commit him to an institution because Joey developed a terrible disease called schizophrenia, and it was from taking amphetamines. And so he was a danger to himself, and he was a danger to other people. Joey saw things that you and I don't see, and he heard things that you and I don't hear, that don't exist. So he was dangerous to himself, and truthfully, he was dangerous to other people. And that was because of the drugs that he had taken. Okay, let's see. Can I say who hasn't asked a question? Please raise your hands. Wow, have I missed this many? Please.
What if your parents drink and you are afraid that you might be like that?
That's a really important question, so I'm going to ask you to put your hands down again. What if your parents drink and you're afraid of growing up like them? My mother drinks. My mother drank real heavily, so I know what it means to be a little bit scared. I guess the first thing that I want you to know is that if your parents drink and if you think your parents have a problem, that puts you in a category which means you're kind of susceptible to this disease, which means chances are good that you could develop it, so you need to be extremely careful with this substance, okay? By being careful, I mean, first of all, do not use until your body is done developing. Now, you might think that that 21-year-old age is kind of arbitrary, that grown-ups just made that up just to make your lives miserable. No, there's a good reason for that. Because before that age, your bodies are still developing and growing. And so during that period of time, you're really susceptible to developing the disease of alcoholism. So you need to be real clear about that, and you need to stay abstinent. And by abstinent, I mean you don't use at all. If you want to develop the possibility of drinking responsibly as an adult, you need to not use before that period of time. Second thing is, my mom is an alcoholic. Her brothers and sisters, alcoholics. Aunts and uncles, alcoholics. I got alcoholics coming out of my ears, okay? The bottom line is, I'm not an alcoholic, okay? I chose to live my life in a way in which I would not develop that disease. So even if your mom and your dad have problems with drinking, that doesn't mean you need to develop this problem. You have a choice, and that choice is to be clean and to be happy and clean. That was an excellent, excellent question. These are all just wonderful questions, very challenging. I'd like to see the hands again of individuals who have not yet had an opportunity. Yes.
Do you think fat people are cool?
Do I think fat people are cool? I think that that's a really interesting question. That's okay. That's okay. And I think it's important to answer it. You know, we all have labels that we wear, and they're labels that we've given ourselves, and they're labels that people have given us. Now, I wear a label inside my heart that sometimes I have to rip off and tear up and throw away. And that label is a label that people give to me that say, you're fat. Okay? I choose to take that label, to tear it up, crumple it up in a ball and throw it away, and to create a new label for myself. And that label says, I'm attractive. Maybe not today, but I'm attractive, and it also says I'm overweight. Now, if I say I'm overweight, that's something I can do something about. That's something I can work on. That's something that isn't saying, you are sickening. Because saying you're fat is about being mean, whether you're doing it to yourself or whether somebody's doing it to you, okay? So I don't think it's cool for anybody to call themselves fat. I think it is cool for them to acknowledge that they might be overweight if they want to work on it. Okay? And then to accept what's attractive and beautiful about them too. Because I don't care if you're Jabba the Hutt. Okay? And you don't remember him because
He's awesome.
oh, okay.
Star Wars.
Okay, Jabba the Hutt, okay. There's still something attractive about Jabba the Hutt. You might have to look for it. But I'm going to ask you, even if you decide that you're some kind of a troll, I want you to spend some time thinking about what's right about you. Okay? What's right about you. Spend some time on it. Hands up to people who have not had an opportunity yet. I know it's a drag. Yes, please.
Has anyone teased you about your acting?
Has anybody teased me about my acting? You know, the only time it's really hard for me to act is when students don't listen. It really makes me feel bad. I feel like a stupid fool. And I'm embarrassed. So, and that's when they tease me like that or they make fun of me while I'm on stage, then that makes me really, really sad. But, let me tell you something. That didn't happen today. And it doesn't happen very often, truthfully. Maybe 1 in 10 or 15 programs. And I didn't have a chance to tell the second audience, but they were absolutely wonderful. You were a wonderful audience for me to work with. It made my job a lot of fun. So, yeah. Yes, please.
What should you do if you know someone who does speed daily and does weird things?
What should you do if you know someone who does speed daily and does weird things? The first thing that, and the counselors, I'd like you to listen to this answer too. The first thing that you need to do is, I would like you to talk to that person, but don't talk to them while they're taking the speed. Okay? Talk to them when they're straight. Don't ever talk to somebody about their behavior. If you're concerned about somebody who's using, don't ever talk to them while they're high. You're just wasting your breath. okay? Wait till they're clean. And then you tell them how that causes you to feel. Here's the formula, so listen up. I feel, and you fill in the blank, when you, and you fill in the blank, because. So, for instance, my husband's an alcoholic, okay? And when I talked to him about his drinking behavior, I said to my husband, I feel really sad and lonely when you drink. Okay, fill in the blank. Because I'm scared and I'm concerned and I feel like our marriage is going to fall apart. Okay, so I feel when you, because. That's a lot different than me going up to my husband and saying, you're wrecking our marriage, I hate your guts. What do you think you're doing? Okay? That kind of starts an argument. But for you to say, I feel sad, or I feel angry, or I feel concerned, okay, doesn't put it into an argumentative, kind of a framework. The second thing I want you to do is I want you to find an adult, and I cannot tell you how important this is. I want you to find an adult who you trust, and I want you to talk to them about this, okay? It is not your responsibility to fix this person, but since you have the information, I really want you to find someone here at school, or your mom or your dad. If you're not comfortable with that, find an aunt or an uncle. I have 26 nieces and nephews, and I have an 800 number, okay? Find somebody you trust who you can talk to about this. Counselors, is there anything you would like to add to that answer?
No, I think that the biggest thing that we really stress at the middle school is to tell an adult, whether it's someone at home or whether it's someone at school, that you can talk to them about your friend or the person that you're concerned about. Because sometimes you don't feel comfortable confronting that person.
Okay, did that come through on the headphones? Okay, so she's saying yes, somebody at school or somebody at home, especially because you may not feel comfortable confronting that person, number one, and number two, it's not your responsibility to fix this person. It is your responsibility to do something with the information. Now, if Joey's friends had come to us earlier with the kind of support system that you have, things might not have happened the way they did for him. Please do that. Please do that for yourself, because I know you're probably scared. And it's okay to be scared about that. That's normal. Someone who hasn't had a chance. Yes, please.
Did you always want to do this, or was there something else that you wanted to do?
I always wanted to act, but I didn't always want to act like this. When I was your age, I knew I wanted to act. And then when I got older, I wanted to be in movies and be on Broadway. I thought that was going to be the answer. And so I think it's really important for you to dream. I think it's really important to start dreaming right now, okay? Because I have evolved into exactly what it was I wanted to be. Truth be told, not exactly, but exactly what I wanted to do. And the only way that I found my direction was by starting to dream. And you may feel like such a dweeb. You're like, oh yeah, like, right, I am going to be a writer for the New York Times. Or like, oh yeah, right, I'm going to be on MTV. Oh yeah, I want you to start dreaming right now so you have something to shoot for. And it also gives you an idea of hobbies you might want to try. I mean, if you want to be on MTV, be a DJ on MTV, you got to start. You can start now. And there are fun ways that you can kind of develop that, some of those skills, and feel better about yourself at the same time. Okay? Good question. Hands of only students who have not yet asked questions, please. Okay, yes.
Did your brother ever tell you he was doing pot or anything else?
Did my brother ever tell me he was doing pot or anything else? Joey did not tell me, and I did not know. I was away at college. I had started college already. I moved out of my house when I was 17 and went to college. So I did not, he never talked to me, but the day that he attempted suicide the first time, I was home, and he talked to me. And we got him to the hospital right away, and we were able to save his life. So my brother told me the first time that he took too many drugs. But before then, we didn't know he was doing drugs at all. Okay. So yeah, he did talk to me. And we talked afterwards, too. Yes.
First of all, I have to ask you, do you know who Pat is on Saturday Night Live?
Oh, Pat on Saturday Night Live, of course I know who
All
Pat
right.
is. Do I kind of remind you of her? Him? It?
Exactly. Oh.
Okay.
Did you get your cross hormones thing from Pat?
Did I get my crossed hormones thing from Pat? That's a good question. Aunt Myrtle is what we call kind of androgynous, isn't she? Androgynous means you're not really quite sure if she's male or if she's female, okay? And that's one of the things that keeps Aunt Myrtle kind of funny. How many of you thought Aunt Myrtle was kind of funny? How many of you, hands down, okay. How many of you thought she was really gross? Yeah, I thought she was too. How many of you, couldn't take your eyes off her? Okay, that's why Aunt Myrtle is the way she is. I know that it's not easy to sit for 45 minutes and watch an assembly about substance abuse, okay? But it is fun to sit and watch an assembly that's about substance abuse when the messenger is as much fun to watch as Aunt Myrtle is. Okay, how are we doing on time?
Yeah, 10 minutes.
Good. Hands of folks who have not yet asked questions, please. Oh, I know you've been waiting since the beginning because you were first. Yes.
What would you tell someone in 6th grade if you saw them taking drugs?
What would I tell someone in 6th grade if I saw them taking drugs? The first thing I would say is stop. Okay, that's the first thing I would say. Then I would sit them down and I would say, what is going on? What do you want? Because I think what students are looking for are three things. I think they're looking for fun. I think they're looking for friendship. Okay, and what else are they looking for?
Money.
And money, okay. Well, how do they get money from drugs? From taking drugs?
I don't know.
Oh, okay, but money is something that kids want. I know, because it's really tough when you're young because you really don't have it and then you have to ask your parents for it. That's great. Okay, well, the bottom line is I would find out what it is that they wanted. What do you really want? Because drugs make you promises. Hands down, this is going to take a second. Drugs make you promises. Drugs made my brother 3 promises. They told my brother that he was going to have fun. And my brother, I think he had fun for a while, to tell you the truth. But I think the last 5 years of his life were a nightmare. And I can tell you very honestly that my brother does not have fun anymore. Okay. Drugs told my brother that he would be free. And he is free. But he's not free the way he bargained. And drugs told my brother that he would fit in, that he would fit in with, and I won't tell you their full names because you might know them or know their children, but it's a guy named Dave and a guy named Billy, and they lived in our neighborhood. They were tough. And they were bullies. And Joey, I know, wanted to fit in. He wanted to hang out with these guys. And he did. He hung out with them. But I can tell you the truth, that my brother Joe doesn't hang out with these people anymore. Those people don't spend any time with my brother anymore. Unless they go to Bear Valley, to the cemetery there. I watched them close the lid of the coffin on my brother. Okay? He doesn't fit in anywhere. There's a price to pay. I would tell them there's a price to pay. And I'd tell them I'd be there to support him if I lived in the same town and if I truly could be there to support them. Okay. Hands of people again who have not yet asked a question. Yes?
I'm depressed all the time, even though I take medication. What should I do?
I get depressed all the time even though I take medication. My heart absolutely breaks for you. I get depressed too. And that's really hard. Sometimes, I know how it feels sometimes to wake up and to already be sad and you don't even know why. What I would recommend that you do, and I assume if you're taking medication that you're probably talking to someone, is to work as hard as you possibly can on being good to yourself. On listening to the things that you say inside your head about yourself. Like William the Puppet, the things that he said in his head about himself. I want you to start to pay attention to what you say inside your head about yourself. And then I think I need to tell you that you want to work on changing those messages. Okay? Think of kind things. Remember what Grandpa said at the end? He said, think of every night before you go to sleep, this is an assignment for you, and this isn't just for the person who asked the question. This is for everyone. I'm giving you an assignment, so listen up. I want you to think of something during the day that made you happy. Okay? Before you go to sleep at night. I want you to think about something that you like about yourself. Okay? You with me on this? And I want you to think of something you dream about being or doing, and I want that to take you to sleep. I want you to spend time thinking about what makes you happy, what you like about yourself, and what you dream about being or doing. Okay? I want you to try that. I want you to find friends who don't treat you mean. I want you to find friends who treats you like a real person. I want you to talk about how you feel. I want you to talk to your parents about how you feel. And I want you to have hope that it can get better. When I was about 18, I had that problem. And I had that problem until I was almost in my 30s. Because when I got a little older, I figured out there was something wrong here that I could fix. I want you to trust that it is going to get better. Don't give up hope, and keep trying on it. It's okay to feel sad, and you're going to feel better. You need to be good to yourself. Counseling staff, is there anything you would like to add to the depression question?
Well, again, I think it's the same kind of feedback like you said. The biggest thing is to share that with somebody, not just keep it to yourself.
You need to share that with somebody. And I would assume, we're going to both assume since you're taking medication, you're probably getting some help and support for this. You don't feel weird that you're taking medication either. That's okay. That's good. I did that too for a while. I took Prozac. I'm a living example that it works, okay? Different drugs work differently for different people, and that one worked for me. Okay, good. Good questions. Very good questions, all of you. Yes, someone who has not yet asked the question, and you were so unhappy for a seconds ago.
Have you ever wanted to be like Barbie?
Have I ever wanted to be like Barbie? Are you kidding? Of course I wanted to be like Barbie. I wanted to have a nice upper torso, if you know what I mean. And I wanted to have a really tiny waist, and I wanted to have shapely hips, and I wanted to be tall and have long, perfect legs, and I wanted to look just like Miss America. And then I realized that only less than 1% of women in this world can achieve that body without surgery. But the fact of the matter is, 99% of us are never going to be able to achieve that. And so we have to find ways to be happy with ourselves and to decide that we're beautiful. It doesn't have anything to do with Barbie. It doesn't have anything to do with Pamela Anderson. Okay, she's probably a really nice person, but Pamela, not very many of us can wind up looking like you. So you need to find ways to be happy with you the way you are and to work on that, okay? And I have. Okay, someone who hasn't yet asked a question. Okay, yes?
Do you ever wish that you were never born? What do you do if you wish that?
Do you ever wish that you were never born? What do you do if you wish that? That sounds like depression to me. Doesn't that sound like depression to you? When I was really depressed, I kind of wished that. And never being born isn't the answer. Never being born means you're not here, and then there's nothing left to fix. If you're feeling that sad, first thing I want you to know is you're not alone, that there are millions and millions of people who feel sad sometimes. And that if you're going through a tough time, that things can change, and things do change, and things will change. And it will get better. And the most important thing I want you to do is I want you to talk to an adult who you trust. Let me say that again. I want you to talk to an adult who you trust about this. Is there anything you want to add, Amy? Mrs. Pittman? Sorry. No.
I know, I think that's the hard thing, is to tell someone.
Talk to somebody. Please talk to somebody. It's okay to feel sad. Okay, and there are people who really honestly and truly do want to help you. Anyone else call on it? Yes. So many.
If somebody smokes and you have to be around them, how would you like them to stop?
If somebody smokes and you have to be around them, how would you ask them to stop? To tell them, I think it's okay for you to tell people that you're not going to hang out with them if they smoke. It's not good for you. My husband smokes. okay? I got real clear with him. He doesn't smoke in the house, he doesn't smoke in the car. I hate it that he smokes. He knows that I hate it. Okay? So you can set, it's called setting boundaries. Okay? So you can say, I won't hang out with you if you smoke, that's not okay. Because it's going to affect you ultimately, okay? And what would happen if I hung out with my husband and he was smoking in the hotel room? I'd come here smelling like an ashtray. And I might get cancer, wind up getting cancer, okay? So he doesn't smoke around me anymore. Yes? Would I have done this program even if my brother didn't take drugs? It's really hard to know what I would be doing right now if my brother didn't take drugs. Yes. Yes, I would probably, I wouldn't be doing this program, but I would probably be doing programs about this. Because I started out working on this because my family is full of alcoholics. And I started working with programs about alcoholics. And I wound up working with students, okay, after my brother passed away. So I worked with younger students after that. Someone who hasn't asked a question? Has everyone asked a question?
Yes.
Who hasn't asked a question yet? Please.
Did your brother commit suicide, and if so, how many times?
My brother attempted suicide 4 times. He never succeeded. And I want to tell you that if you're that sad, and we've talked to some, there's been some questions from students who feel that sad, it is not the answer. Suicide is final. Suicide is not a solution to anything. Suicide is the ultimate form of self-destruction. Let me say that again. It is the ultimate form of self-destruction. And there's nobody in this school, there's nobody in this world who deserves that kind of violence on themselves. Do not be violent with yourselves. What I want you to do is I want you to talk to somebody about this. If Joey had known, or if there had been places for Joey to go to talk to them about how he was feeling and how mixed up he was, things might not have happened like they did. Eventually, how my brother died was he was accidentally overdosed by the hospital staff, and he had a heart attack. It started, though, the whole cycle started with his drug abuse of 6 years. So I don't blame his death on the staff completely. Yeah.
Okay, all right. This is from Fire Engine Red.
Fire Engine Red. Okay,
Yes.
you know, only you know who you are, and
Yes.
probably most of the students at school.
Okay. Why does my friend always lie and tell stories about his uncle and grandpa?
Only you know the answer to that. Fireman Red or
Fire
Fire
Engine
Engine
Red.
Red? You know, why do you guys think people brag?
To become popular.
To become popular. Why else do people brag?
To get attention.
To get attention. Why else do people brag? For food. Whoa, okay. You tell me how that works, okay? Why else do people brag? Yeah.
They want other people to think they look good.
They want other people to think that they look good. I think those are the answers. I think those are the answers. Yes, another question.
Conceited.
Oh, because they're conceited, okay?
Oh.
How did it make you feel when your brother did this to himself?
How did it make you feel when your brother did this to himself? I was confused. I was angry. I was frustrated. I was absolutely furious with him. I was furious with myself, and I was embarrassed, and I felt responsible. I felt like, and I cried a lot. So those are pretty normal responses. And you know what? There was nobody for me to talk to. They didn't have what you have. You have all these great resources to go to. And it was only until I got to be like 30 years old, because I'm really old now. But when I was 30, then I went, oh, okay, I'll go get some help for this. Because I was still feeling angry and bad and sad and depressed. And that's when I got some help. Okay, yes, it's been a long time.
How can you get through to a friend that you don't have to take drugs to fit in?
How can you get through to a friend that you don't have to take drugs to fit in? You can tell them, you can talk to them, I feel blank when you blank because, okay, remember the formula? The other thing you can do is not take drugs by example. And you know, there's something that's called enabling. It's a great big word, okay? Enabling. Don't hang out with your friends if you have a friend who's using drugs, don't hang out with them. Don't enable them to use the drugs, okay? Don't make it easy for them to have fun with you while they're using the drugs. That's called enabling them. What you need to do is you need to not hang out with them and to have fun on your own and to be an example, to be clean, because it's a cycle. And there's, the peer pressure itself. If you use, and the next person might use, and then if the next person uses, somebody they like might use. So you can help break the cycle and make Waunakee a place where it's cool not to use. That's up to you. That's up to each one of you individually. Okay.
I think that's really the only time we have left.
You know what? We're really sad about the fact that there's not much time left for questions, and so Mrs. Pittman and I are going to talk about what we can do to get as many of these questions that we have left hanging answered, because we don't want to leave them hanging, and I don't think we can take any more time today. But we're going to try and find a way to get these questions answered, so we're not going to throw them out, right? Okay.
So maybe one possibility might be that we read them through and we'll write the answers and each one will get a copy,
Well, that'd
so
be
that
good.
they can go over the questions that they have, okay?
Sounds good to me.
And just a quick reminder for those of you in here and those in your homerooms, the group sign-up sheet for issues and concerns on certain topics that might have been brought up today or other topics. Please do a group form. Fill it out, put your name on it, even if you're not interested. Everyone in here, before you leave, I'm asking you to do the same thing, to at least make sure to fill this out. Laura did a great job. Very, very, very glad to have her with us.
Great questions. Good job.